Cashamaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome back to episode 321 of the GeoGearHeads, where we're going to be talking about mega and giga events too. Chris, it's good to have you back, but boy, am I messing up all over the place because I'm just tired tonight.
Hey, I completely understand tired, but this is episode 321, and it's time to get started. See how I did that? It's kind of a launch sequence.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And you know, the person who I really have to apologize to is our guest, Heather Feather, who's a community volunteer support team lackey. There we go. See, I'm even messing that up. But Heather, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. My title has changed since we last chatted, so I am still part of the community volunteer support team, but I am technically a special programs manager now. So it's still a mouthful. That's the best part about what we do is we try to add more words onto our titles every year. It's kind of a challenge. No.
Love it. So do you have to get new cards, or do your business cards just keep getting bigger because you keep adding more titles?
Yeah, we just have like a tiny pen, and you just you have to write it in there. So it looks, yeah, it's you know, we only do like what looks the most professional here. So no, I'm kidding. I mean, we can get new business cards.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah. And you had mentioned it's National Margarita Day.
Yes.
So, you know, we can take a pause if all of our listeners want to run to the blender, make a margarita, and come back. You know, just go ahead and hit pause now. We'll still be here waiting for you.
That's essentially what I did. I went into our little kitchenette area and whipped up an impromptu margarita with one of the mobile team guys because I just found out it was like National Margarita Day maybe an hour ago, and we were like, hey, let's see what we can do about that. And we made some passable drinks.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, you can do it anywhere. I'd love it. Now, for those of you who missed last week's show, and that includes me, that oh no, I'm sorry, not last week's show. The last show that we talked about mega and giga events. I apologize. I was on that one. I remember it.
And I was not. I was sick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you guys need to take more like vitamins or something. It's one of you, both of you are sick.
Yeah.
So much sickness.
I'm a little congested this evening, and I'm not sure why. I had the sneezing fit at work, and ever since then.
You're allergic to work, clearly.
That's it. You're right. I feel so much better being home. I should quit my job just for my health.
You could probably get a doctor's note for that.
Yeah. I'm afraid
try.
I probably could. Anyway, last time we talked about mega and giga events was GeoGearHeads 267. So that was, 60 weeks ago. That was well over a year ago. Can you believe it?
How time flies.
I know. So thank you. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, the upcoming mega and giga events, not just in the US, but all over the world, because, we're members of one community.
The global community, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Waysiders sent in an email. They were talking about GeoGearHeads episode 312, Foolish Cachers. They submitted email for that and wasn't used, but we're talking about it now. It says, does letting our mini cachers, that's children's ages 8, 6, and 3, take off caching with perfect strangers while in Rome, holding their hands as they cross the streets? Cachers who turned out to be from GeoGearHeads. Does that count as foolish?
This is talking about the mega events and one of the cool things about it. And this was the Waysiders are the organizers behind Going Caching. And this was sent into them when we did that show, Foolish Cachers, by someone whom we spent like half a day running around Rome, Georgia with them and their kids. And their kids are just, great family, love hanging out with them and everything. But the kids just grabbed our hands and started walking across the street. It's like, wow, this is really surreal. But the whole city of Rome, the whole downtown area was filled with cachers. And it was a really, really weird experience to be walking around, and probably only 1 in 10 people was not a geocacher on the street that day.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Okay, so Rome, Georgia is a little different than Rome, Italy.
Just a tiny bit, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, well, that does lower the level of foolishness in my estimation now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, is it the kids that are foolish, or the parents that are foolish, or the hand grabbers that are foolish, or all of everybody, or neither?
But it's one of the things that you'll run into at these mega and giga events is just the sheer number of cachers, and everyone seems to be friends just instantly.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's so great, right? Like when you see a crowd of people together, you all know that you can speak the same language, even if you don't, and that you're there for the same reason, which to have a good time, mix and mingle. I mean, everyone has their like different layers of goals for the day and what they're trying to do for the weekend. But the main goal is the same. And I think that's your story about the kids just running around and grabbing strangers' hands is because they felt it too, right? They feel this comfort and this community, that they're really safe, and they're everyone's down to have fun together. It's not a stranger danger situation, although maybe, a little bit more awareness is also a good thing. But but I mean, I think that's like the main point of it, right? Is like the kids knew that it was like probably it was an okay place to do that kind of thing, right then and there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming nobody got hit by a car, like it all turned out well, right?
Yeah, it was a great day of caching for sure. But I want to go back and do it again this year, but there's so many great mega and giga events. The first giga in North America, which we'll get to in a moment. But before we do that, why don't you just tell everyone what it is that you do over there at Geocaching HQ?
Yeah, sure thing. I wear a couple of different hats. My biggest hat, I think, is managing the Mega and Giga event program. It is kind of like this big wheel that turns year round, and there's even already 2019 applications coming in. So it's a never-ending program, and it's getting bigger and bigger and more and more every year, which is great. And then I support the volunteer program. So those reviewers and GeoAware translators and moderators, I help the team support those folks. And I help answer appeals tickets. So if people send in appeals, I'm on that team. And I have an itch in my throat.
No worries. And just talking about the number of these events that are coming in all the time. When I started this show prep a while ago, I went to the list, and we'll link to that list. We're not going to link to these individual events, because between the time I copied all of those events into the show doc for tonight and today, were at least half a dozen new events that had popped up on that list. So the best thing to do if you want to figure out what those mega and giga events are is head over to that list, which we'll have a link to in the show notes. And as I recall, you're actually the one who maintains that bookmark list.
Yeah, correct. That is the official place to go to find out which events are published officially mega or giga events. That's the magic list.
So what are the differences between the mega and the giga events?
That's a great question, and I know you know the answer to that, but I know you're asking for informational sake, and that's
exactly.
fair. So we'll go with the technical definitions. Just get the basics out of the way. So mega event is a geocaching event that is attended by 500 or more people. And a giga event is a geocaching event that is attended by 5,000 or more people. And we're talking about human bodies, people, not geocaching accounts necessarily. So either way, big numbers. And yeah, sometimes there are mega events that can feel like a giga event. They have upwards of 1,000 people that attend. Yeah, so big old geocaching events.
Big old geocaching events. That's
kind of the
what I'm
name.
holding on to. That's the nugget I got out of that.
That's what I want to change the name to next year. Instead of get rid of Mega and Giga and just do big old geocaching events and just like apostrophe vents.
Vents.
Okay. Yeah.
And then bigger old geocaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there aren't that many gigas worldwide each and every year. Is there a limit on the number of giga events that are held? Those bigger old geocaching events?
No, there's actually not. That really just depends on what the community is hosting and if like what regions are intending to host a gig event. Like you can imagine that's not something that happens by accident. So it just depends on where in the world there is a group of people that have gotten together with this crazy idea and they want to host a giga event and they're going to do it. And so there at this point there's no limit, the same way there's no limit on how many mega events can happen.
And White Coaster in the chat is asking how the 500 or the 5,000 is calculated. Can you give us a quick rundown on how you count the bodies?
Yeah, so that's a little more complicated because we have like this this reoccurring qualification process. So I mentioned last year when we did this, that there's no such thing as a grandfathered mega or giga event, right? So they have to apply every year to make sure that they can hit the kind of big old geocaching event quotas that we work on to keep the program kind of as accurate as it can be. And so what we do is we look at attended logs and will attended logs to base the qualification on. And if it's a reoccurring event, like it's happened in the past and it's been a mega event, then and it has some history, it makes the decision a little bit easier or a little bit less kind of like dicey. Yeah, so we have a way of being consistent about how we look at the attended or will attend logs for the events, depending on like their background and their history.
But you had mentioned the bodies, so is there a way that you're determining how many bodies are represented by like a team will attend log?
Right. No, it doesn't really get that complicated. So, when you post a will attend for a mega event or even like a regular event, a lot of times the host will ask you to put an asterisk next to the number of how many people you're bringing, and that helps them actually get a real good head count. We don't look at that stuff. That's all for their planning purposes, and we don't even ask for that information. We don't have access to it anyway. I mean, I guess I could if I like ran a script to come through the page and do the same thing, but I don't do that. So what we look at is the attended logs, and for example, we'll use Going Caching, the Rome, Georgia event. So that's an ongoing long time mega event. So when they put their application in for their 2018 event, which I don't actually think they have yet, or maybe they have. You know how it's hard to know. It's not hard to know. I just don't know right now. I could easily find out. I just don't know off the top of my head. But their application, I would look at it and ask myself, okay, did they have 300 attended logs last year? At least 300. And that's the number we look at to be an attended log plus other people. So we think that the number 300 attended logs also includes families of other people that don't have their own accounts that would build up to at least 500. So that's how we estimate that. For a first time event that has no history, has not been mega before, we don't know if it actually is going to qualify or not. We look at attended logs. Will attend logs for that. And they have to reach the 500 point because we need to show that it needs to demonstrate that they really are a big old geocaching event.
I thought you were using drones with infrared cameras to count bodies.
Yeah. I wish I could do that. That would be next level rad, actually. I'll see if I can get my hands on one.
Indoor event. Then the whole thing goes out the window. Or at least the drone does. Anyway.
That's what drones do. They're always out the window, right? You can never keep them in. Silly drones.
All right, so we're all excited about the first North American Giga event, but what are the Giga events for this year?
Yeah, it is. Oh, the Giga event? What is the Giga event for the year?
Yeah, there's only one right now.
There's only one. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on to your pants. It's Geo Woodstock in Cincinnati, Ohio. Woohoo!
which I'd say probably at least half of our audience is going to be at from the impromptu emails and whatnot that I've been getting.
Cool. Yeah, I actually I used to live in Ohio. I used to live in Cincinnati back in the day. It's a great town to host a big event like that. It's it got a lot of like big city things with a small city feel. It's got that nice river going through it and airport close by and lots of accommodations. So I think it's a nice spot to bring people into the big old geocaching event. Yeah. I'll try not to keep saying that term. I should probably just stop somehow.
No,
We'll see.
the more you use it, the more our listeners are going to have it in their mind, and they will use it, and it will catch on and be a thing.
That's what I'm afraid of. I don't want to be known for that.
Oh, in that case, you better stop.
Yeah. I'll
But
try
we
to
will
control
be
myself.
talking with the Geo Woodstock guys next week, so we're not going to get into it too much now. But that's one of the events that the lackeys are going to be attending as well.
Yeah, we've got several lackeys that are going to go to that one. When a Giga event is so close relatively to our backyard, I mean, you know, not in a different country, it invites a lot of travel. So yeah, you can expect several to be there.
Yeah, when you don't have to deal with customs.
Yeah, that and passports and you know, long vacation time.
Yeah, exactly. But then the mega events are also going to get some lackeys. What do you have as some of those events this year?
Yes, yes, yes. Which events are lackeys going to this year? Well, we just figured out who is kind of traveling based on like business company travel stuff recently. So we're working out the logistics on that. So like when somebody gets approved for travel, they have to make sure it's okay with their manager and kind of go through, you know, look at their calendar and plan it out and make sure it's official first. So we're still in that process, but there are, let's see, over I think close to around 20 locations that we're sending at least. So people go on their own accord too. So there's going to be, I would say maybe a little less than half of the mega and giga events will have lackeys at them this year. So a good representative, a good like sprinkling and representation of lackeys out at these events.
Well, it seems like there's more mega and gigas from that list. But earlier when we were emailing back and forth, we had in the U.S. MOGA 2018, which is in Nebraska, the Berkshire GeoBash in Massachusetts, Midwest GeoBash, which I almost always do a day trip to since it's just down in Ohio.
Yeah.
The West Bend Cache Bash, one of my favorite mega events. Going Caching is still not listed, but expected. You have the Metro Gathering in New Jersey, also not listed yet, so we don't even know if that's actually happening, I guess.
That one may have come in since we last talked. So
okay.
Those are the kind of recurring ones that we expect to happen. Yeah, I'm like, and Going Caching, I was correct that I did not get their application yet. That's okay. I mean, no rush or anything. That's why I was like, oh, I don't think I do have it yet. But anyway.
Yeah, it's still well over 6 months away.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then on the international, we have some that I can't even pronounce. Leguala?
La Aguela is how I've been saying it. I don't know if that's correct, but
that one's in Spain. There's Stashes and Stones in Germany. I like that name.
That one is actually, it's a gemstone theme. So they have like little gemstones searching and things that you can do. It looks really cute. Yeah.
Offensprung is
Offensprung is Vogtland.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. Chris, I should just have you read this list.
Yeah, let him read the international list. He does good. He does good on this one.
The next one is French, and I should be able to pronounce it. I would go Chouette event.
Yeah.
In Bourgogne.
Just say France.
Okay. Summer, sun, and fun. See how easy that one is?
Your accent is impeccable.
Yes, thank you. Geo Nord, also in France. The 10th anniversary UK mega event in Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. Kind of gives it away with UK in the name.
Yeah, kind of does.
Marschenhaft in Kessel in Germany. Geocache Party 2018 in Poland. I think we all should go to a geocaching party.
A big old geocaching party. Dang it, I did it again.
Oh, the best of 20 in the Netherlands, Slovak Geo Awards in Slovakia, Geo Coin Fest Europe, that's also in France. France is the place to be this year. And the Mega Sweden Fad. The Fad.
It's a Fumble After Dark.
There you go. I knew it was an acronym and I couldn't come up with it. In, guess what? Sweden.
Which also hasn't been submitted yet, I think.
Correct.
That definitely sounds like a good one.
That one is always in October, November sometime. It's at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, when it starts getting
Sweden
darker. You want it to get darker sooner.
Yeah. So you can be fumbling after dark for a longer amount of time. More fumbling, more fun.
Well, and when you're not falling asleep already. Like I am tonight. But I do love running into the lackeys at the events. It is a little challenging to find them at times, but because they're just out there in the crowd. Is there a good way that you can recommend that you can find the lackeys at the events, and what are they supposed to do when they are there?
Yeah, good question. So, finding lackeys at events is kind of a Where's Waldo game a little bit, right? And not on purpose, but just when there's that many bodies around, it can be hard to find them. But I wore my Geocaching HQ shirt today, this green one, because we all have these green HQ shirts that we take to events with us. And the idea is that this is like our official like HQ representative t-shirt that we should be wearing when we're out and about and want to be identified and such. And so that's one thing. Look for a natural green t-shirt color in a sea of other natural colors. No, but really the t-shirt is actual a real thing. And then other than that, it is kind of tricky, right? Like, so they're there to answer the second part of your question, to do a couple of different things. So some of them are there just to be at a mega event. They have maybe never been before. They've maybe never been to an international one, but only to domestic ones. They want to see how caching happens in this location with these people in this culture that might be different outside of where we're at here. They might be there to research some kind of business goal that they're on, that will help their team, that they can bring back and have some great perspective. I mean, that alone is really what ends up happening a lot of the time, right? They have what they think is going on at a mega event and out in geocaching, but you don't know until you go and you experience it, right? Like, there's nothing quite like a mega event. And then, of course, to up their find count, have lots of fun, make new friends. So, yeah, many of the same things that, you know, regular geocachers are there to do at mega events as well.
Nice. Now, you touched on it earlier, and if we go to and get into the details of how the events are selected for a lackey visit, is it coincidence they're traveling as lackeys are traveling about? They say, hey, there's a mega event nearby, you know, can I go to that one? Or do you actually schedule lackeys to go to an event? Oh, like let's pick on going caching.
Yeah,
you know, that's a recurring one. That's a good one to have a lackey presence at.
Yeah, so both things happen. I would say for the most part, what we do is we the company choose the first list that we read. Those are locations that we chose, that we knew we wanted to send lackeys to. We wanted representation at those events for various reasons. So that was a very specific list. And then we just pick the people based on a different process. But there's plenty of times when a lackey will be going to an event and they said, I want to go to this event because I think it will show me a lot more about XYZ, whatever they're trying to like find out more about. Or I'm also going to be there for my friend's wedding and I'm going to be nearby. So I'm going to drop in at this mega event. So those are all, yeah, possibilities for sure. When we look at which events to send lackeys to, we look at a couple of different things. So we look at how well is it attended, or has it been attended in the past? Like, is there going to be a lot of people there, or is it kind of a lower attended event? Because when we send lackeys out for business, we want to get the most bang for our buck, right? We want them to be exposed to the more people, the better. They can really get a good feel and bring back a really great experience and a lot of good information. Is it maybe a new or interesting location? So geocaching is growing in different regions, which is why places like, you notice that France was on the list a lot. France is growing a lot in the geocaching community. And so we just want to go and represent, find out how we can support them better, just get a little closer to that community out there. And let's see, some of the other reasons is, do we always go to this event? Like, would it be weird if we don't go to this event? Because there are a few that we're like, yeah, we go, people have a great time every year, we're going to send them again. It's kind of like an easy one to add on. Or sometimes it's like, have we never sent anybody? Has this event been going on, or it's been a while since we've sent somebody? Let's send somebody this year. So it's kind of like the little dots that go on in our heads when we're talking about which ones go on the list.
Sure. And that all makes sense.
Hopefully.
So, unless it's your mega event and there's no lackey, then that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, somebody's like, I know I hit one of those bullets. I know I did.
Okay, now we have a list here, and I think we should just jump into it.
Okay.
And start going through of other mega events, and this is throughout the world. So we're going to hit spring, March 10th, the 16th annual TXGA Texas Challenge in Texas. March 17th, Horns Cache event in the Netherlands. March 30th, Oz Geo Muster in New South Wales, Australia, and I saw that was mentioned in the chat. April 7th, Bruce Kabir in Belgium. April 21st, La Guela in Spain. And I'm losing my place in the list. April 20.
Moga. Moga's in there.
Moga, we already mentioned up above in the lackey events.
Oh, I see what's going on now.
So these are the ones that may or may not have lackeys.
Gotcha. You're not going chronologically. You're just going willy-nilly, sort of chronologically, minus the lackey ones. Gotcha.
Right, exactly. It's chronologically minus the ones from that lackey list.
Got it.
April 28th is Mimi 2018 in the Czech Republic. May 12th is IFF, the main event in Belgium. May 19th is ASP GeoBash in New York, United States. May 19th. That's
one that I've heard of a number of good things, and a couple of our listeners go every year.
Nice.
So we hear more about that one than some of the others.
Excellent.
What does ASP stand for?
It's like Allegheny State Park, I think.
Yep. There you go. That's it. It's funny. Your mind starts playing tricks. ASP could be. No, I'm not going to try.
There are so many acronyms for us to all keep track of, right? It's fair.
Yeah.
And the day job gets in the way a lot.
Yeah. May 19th, also May 19th, is Viking event in Norway. Now, who doesn't want to go to a Viking event in Norway? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings up something interesting. I was looking at some of these new events today going, boy, I really want to go to that. And noticing that there's a lot of events that you have to be in like Europe and North America on the same day.
You can do
both.
You just have to always fly east.
There's just no way that you can really make all of these events.
No, and I mean, that's really not the intention, though, is it? Right. No. So we wouldn't want to say, oh, this date is held down because there's an event in Poland, right? Like,
no.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be fun to try to get to every event, is in a year, just every Giga and Mega event, do all of them. And it's just not going to be possible anymore because there's so many.
I mean, and the fact that they're mostly on either Saturdays, and a lot of them are going to be on repeat Saturdays. If for some reason they switched it up, and they, meaning the event host, right, decided to not do it on Saturday, that would be the only way it would ever be possible. And maybe it was possible like in the beginning when there were fewer going on. But at this stage, I think you're right. I think that challenge is not possible. Somebody's going to be like, it's possible.
Yeah, you get a supersonic aircraft and you can do it, right? But you just sign the log and you take off. So let's move on to the summer/winter if you're Southern Hemisphere, which is June through August. And June 2nd, we have the Terezin Games. Terezin Games in Czech Republic again. Again, they seem to be popping up with a lot of events this year.
Yep.
June 9th, we have 2 events, but both of these are in Europe. So, maybe you can do them both. The Cachen im Braswursland in Germany. And I think we already mentioned the
Chouette,
event in France. Then on the 23rd, again, we have 2. And we have the event Undertag in the Netherlands. And Chris, this is one of your favorites, the Tri-City GeoCoin Challenge in Washington there.
Yeah, that's a great event held every year. I have to say, the Tri-Cities GeoCoin is some of the best GeoCoins I've ever seen. So it's
Yeah,
it's
they're
worthwhile.
very intricate.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one I really wanted, I didn't go that year. You put it together and you looked through it to cite the final.
So clever.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Daryl,
love
I'm
when
gonna let you do some of these international ones.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. But yeah, I do love when the coins become part of the games. It's one
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
reasons that
Mhm.
Like going caching
going
does.
caching really appealed to me. And this year, it was pretty simple. It was just decoder, but they've had some of those where you have to like use the coin to
Daryl,
cite something.
the coin was a briefcase.
Yes, it was for
I
going
mean,
caching.
that's incredible.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, it's an awesome coin, but as far as the game goes, it was fairly simple. It's just
Okay.
like a decoder. It wasn't line this up to do anything. It wasn't Geo Woodstock doing some of that too when we went in St. Louis.
You guys are all looking for your
I'm
coins.
looking for my coin. Oh, I got it hanging up behind me.
Yeah, Geo Woodstock 12.
They had something hanging off of the coin lanyard that you could cite with,
Yes.
as you know,
And-
the Lewis and Clark would use to cite.
Right, and I thought that there was one of the no, it wasn't a lab cache. There was something there that you were supposed to use that for. Let's get back to the list though, because we want to get through all of these before the end of the show. And June 30th is Skolovi Porodo in Slovenia. July
Slovakia.
7th.
Yeah,
Slovak. Oh, sorry. Yes,
that's all
thank
right.
you.
We do it here all the time too.
July 7th pulled together in Finland. I like this one. It's July 21st mega dash phone, and they actually put an emoji in the title. That part I'm not so sure about. Makes it hard to search for. And that's in Germany again. August 11th, the Love event in Portugal.
And Annie Love would have to go to that. That would be Love at Love Love.
Yeah, I'm not even sure she's been. This event has been happening for several years now, and I don't know if she's gone to one of them even.
Oh,
Ooh.
if you get an event named after you, you have to go.
I know,
Exactly.
gotta go.
Maybe that's why they named the event after her, so that they could get
Oh.
Lackey, and there's just waiting for her to come over.
Well, lackeys do go to that event, but I don't. Yeah, Love though. Annie has got to go.
Exactly. August 18th, we have the Discover LNA County geocaching event in Ontario, Canada. I'll have to look into that one. It's Ontario. Ontario is like right across the river from me, but it's a big province. Anyways, Randers Fjord event in Denmark on the 18th. Then on the 19th, Going Ape. Chris, are you going to make it to this one again?
Oh, you better believe it. You know, they are doing some special things this year at Going Ape. If you're in the area, you got to come by.
Can you give a hint of what those special things might be?
I don't know if I can yet.
Okay.
I will give you a spoiler on caching in the Northwest. We're going to be talking with the coordinator here in the next couple of weeks.
Cool.
Excellent. And then October, August 25th is Meeting Friends, and that's going to be in Switzerland. All right, and then we've got some of the fall events that are in here, but this is all going to change. We're going to get a lot more of these. So this is the September on. Chris, you want to give us those last four?
Certainly. We start with Geo Coin Fest here in Seattle. I'm telling you, Seattle's the place to be. Seattle and France are the two places to be.
Well, that one is technically in Issaquah. So, I mean, if we're going to split hairs.
Yeah,
which,
but I mean,
I am apparently.
But if you say Issaquah, people go, huh?
Yeah, and you stay outside of Seattle. Sure. Okay.
Right. You know, Seattle's the city that, that's where I'm going.
Right.
Yeah, you try to get a ticket to Issaquah. Go ahead.
Good luck.
I mean, you know, when Geo Woodstock was here, it was in Carnation, not technically Seattle, but anyway.
Yeah.
October 20th, Metro Gathering, Witches of Salem in New Jersey. October 27th, Winter Geolympics. I believe that's Geolympics. in the UK, and November 18th, the Parkville event in Australia, in Victoria, Australia. Ooh, the Parkville event. That sounds very proper.
Yes. Australians are known for being proper, I think.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, they're not really, I don't think. I was joking. I think they would laugh at that. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping.
I love you, Australia.
We have an Australian in the chat, so we can find out here in just a few moments.
Yeah.
And one of the things that always strikes me is the variety of events that we find with these. You've got like Going Caching, which is a multi-day event with games that carry out through the whole thing. Moga, which is more like your challenge event where you're actually competing. And then there's like Geo Woodstock, which is it's a single day event with a lot of other things happening around it. But it's really just like a big meet and greet with a bunch of booths and whatnot set up, a lot of activities around it, but it's kind of a free for all.
Mhm.
So you've got a
Make sure
lot
you
of different.
pronounce booths properly and not booze.
Booze at booths.
Yeah,
Booth-
exactly.
Booths with booze.
Yeah, not a beer garden.
There you go.
Though some of those might be available in some areas. Anyway, so you really do want to take a look at the cache page and any of the information before you try to go to one of these. But is there a tip or two that you might suggest to anyone who's hitting up one of these mega events for maybe the first time?
Yeah, wow, that's a good question. They're so very different, right? And a lot of these events, it's really great to just see how different they really can be. You go to a mega event, and even one that happens from year to year is not going to be the same experience, right? So one of my tips, I think, is to, once you get there on land, like you've landed, you've put your bags down, you're going to the event, go to the registration desk, get your stuff, get a lay of the land, and really understand like what activities, events, and opportunities are out, because they've got lab caches, they've got all kinds of different games and activities of their own that they've got focused on, just to find out like how to budget your time. It's like when you go to like a zoo or an amusement park, you got to know like, when is the show, when is this, when is that, what do I want to make sure I don't miss before it's too late. Because once you start wandering around, which this is kind of what happens to me, I get kind of like caught up in the ocean of people and things, and I'm just kind of like a jellyfish in the ocean, and I just kind of get dragged around. And then later in the day, I'm like, how did I miss that cool thing or this cool thing? And it says, and I didn't like miss it, because I mean, I missed maybe like a specific thing, but I was just jellyfishing around, right? I was like doing all these different things. So you can easily kind of like just get swept up in the momentum of such commotion and fun stuff that you might actually miss out on something you wanted to like check out specifically. So that's my first tip, is just like get there, try to look at a map in the book and like the activities layout, and just kind of figure out like, what do I want to make sure I miss or not.
One of my tips would be make sure to check the registration packages early on, because there's a lot of stuff in those that is only available through the registration packs, like the coins. And sometimes the coins are going to be integral to the games. Other times it will be things like the on-site meals, which are only available if you've done the registration.
Yeah.
So make sure to check that kind of stuff out before you go and pick the one that best suits you. And usually there's some kind of communications, either forum or messaging with the host, to help you out if you do have any issues. So make sure to do that as early as you can. And a lot of times you'll get discounts if you can get in before a certain date. And a lot of times those aren't going to be available at all at the event. So if you don't get it in time, you might be driving, 20, 30, 40 minutes to get lunch, because, well, it's at the fairgrounds with nothing else but the lunch provided for the people who pre-registered.
Has this happened to you?
No, but I know people for whom it
Yeah.
has happened.
Yeah. I know when sometimes when people miss a meal, like it sticks in their head, right? And they're like, I don't want to miss a meal ever again. So it sounded like you were maybe speaking from a missed meal experience.
No. Fortunately, I have not made that mistake. I have actually purchased meals and then skipped them and gone somewhere else.
Gotcha.
For whatever reason, because I didn't want to do it at the event. I wanted to go somewhere One of them was there was this great restaurant not too far, so skip the meal on site and go to this great restaurant, and yeah, it was well worth it.
Chris, do you have a tip?
You know, look to see if the event has its own webpage, because
Yeah.
Daryl mentioned some other things, but perhaps you have to register ahead of time to get your coin or meal ticket or what have you. It also is going to give you a list of typically a list of what's happening in the day, kind of a rundown, a schedule. So you can say, hey, I really want to go see, that lackey who's signing signatures or giving autographs there, at 3 o'clock, because, that's what people do. And oh, maybe that's not what lackeys do, but they should.
Yeah, I don't know if they've ever had like an autograph hour. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Or like a tag passing out hour. That could be a disaster, maybe. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, that
Yeah. See, it's slippery. It slipperily goes into somewhere dangerous.
that would be a melee of sorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of these that will have like the meet the reviewer panels.
Yeah.
And so that's generally a good spot to run into lackeys if they're attending. But you'll usually find lackeys at a lot of those that have the meet the reviewer panels, in my experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which may not be the experience everywhere, but
Yeah.
And as
certainly have
Daryl
mine.
touched on, a lot of these events are out away from the city. To get a spot where 500 people can get together and park, 300 cars, you require a lot of space. So bring some food, bring some water, because, why you think, oh, I could just run into town. Well, running into town may be, an hour and a half round trip because of all the added people and distance. So,
Mhm.
Well, if at this point we should also mention bring extra batteries for your GPSR or external batteries for your phones, that kind of stuff, because you will probably need it, and there's not going to be power around there.
Mhm.
And don't count on your phones to actually have
Mm.
data or voice service.
Yes, good call.
You
Download
will
those
have,
lists. Yeah.
yes, download the list. Plan on something like a walkie-talkie kind of thing if you're going with a group and might get separated.
Yeah.
And even those, even those can be pretty noisy at these events, because a lot of the time these are fairgrounds and picnic areas that don't get this many people who are this tech savvy. They just don't have the connections available for like cell phones,
Mhm.
and certainly not for that much power.
Exactly. All good tips.
All right, we do want to get this wrapped up, but before we do, Team Avenue emailed in a question that, to save time, I'll try to, because it was a nice, long, very detailed message, I'm going to condense it and hopefully I get this right. And he says the guidelines for the mega events state that those events granted the status must list geocaching.com as the primary sponsor and are not allowed to have other geocaching websites or location based games as sponsors. Many of the geocachers he's spoken with take that to mean other games or listing service aren't even allowed to have a booth at the event. Is that the case, or does the prohibition apply only to sponsorship?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's not. I'm not sure like what that specific situation is about necessarily, but I can tell you like with the sponsorship, kind of like rules and regulations, the most important thing we're trying to get across is that mega and giga events are about geocaching and the celebration of geocaching, right? Getting people together and really deep diving into the love of this game, and we've seen other competing similar event games if they're boothed up or having demonstrations to be distracting from that main experience. But if it's geocaching related, I mean, we've all been to events where there's tons of other like similar geocaching enhanced type things. It's not geocaching. It's still geocaching related, and those can be appropriate at mega events and giga events. And so I think if this is a specific instance, I think that they should write into HQ and we'll take a look at it and happily look at it, of course, because it's hard to know exactly what the situation is without knowing some of the specifics. But yeah, there are some limitations to the sponsorship package. I mean, that's part of the deal. But we're also we try to be very flexible and logical when it comes to how are people playing the game, how can playing the game be enhanced for them in a way that, you know, is not in a way that's like cutting our nose to spite our face. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and hopefully, I'll be running into you at one of these Mega or Giga events.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I assume you're going to go to the Giga just because, well, it's here.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I will actually. I'm still thinking about it. Yeah. But do you guys know which events you're going to this year already?
I'm definitely going to the Giga event, and I always do a day trip to Midwest GeoBash.
Okay.
I think that's probably the only ones that I'll be doing this year.
Chris, what about you?
I know I'm hitting the Washington ones, the ones here in Washington State. I really want that Giga event, so I may be able to work that in.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I didn't go to the Giga last year, then I'd definitely be there this year. But as far as like, you know, talking about icons and stuff, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've already got the icons, so you don't need to spend the money to do it again.
Even if it's just like, you know, to Cincinnati. But I guess that's part of also the draw, or like maybe the undraws that I've been to Cincinnati, so it's a little less of an exotic location to go to be like, I mean, I still have friends there and stuff, so I could obviously there's a reason to go, and I would have a wonderful time, but we'll see.
Or is that more of the deterrent again because you know people in Cincinnati?
Yeah, why did I leave? Right?
Run into them.
Right. All these burned bridges.
Across the river?
Right. So many, all those, nobody can cross the river because I burned all the bridges in Cincinnati.
All right. And of course, we will have that list of all of these events and more because there's more being added very frequently, as we've learned.
Yep.
On the show notes. So go ahead and check that out.
And that list will nearly be outdated by the time we post it. Well, we just want to throw out a quick reminder that we are giving away 10 Pro licenses from the developer of TB Scan, but you need to email us by February 28th, 2018. Send that email to GeoGearHeads@cachemaniacs.com with the subject TB Scan Pro. And in the body, include the exact geocaching nickname, email address, and whether you're an Android or iPhone user. Oddly enough, right now the entries are almost 2-to-1 iOS over Android. The winners will receive an email containing the license from the developer once the winners are selected. Now, the important part is the license key is tied to the geocaching username and cannot be used under any other name. So make sure you give us the correct spelling of your geocaching username. But remember, that email needs to be received by the end of the day, Friday or February 28th, 2018, to be entered into that drawing.
And we've got a bunch of other great shows coming up. And we mentioned earlier that next week for episode 322, we're going to be talking with one or two of the folks from Geo Woodstock 2018, find out more about what's going on there. Then on the 8th, we're going to be talking about our gear again. And this was going to be a lot of fun because we've got Shermanator 18, C. Michelle, and Land Monkey joining us to talk about their gear and how they're using it. On the 15th is going to be our next randomized show with the geocaching vlogger. And I know a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear this one. On 3/25, which is March 22nd, we're going to do another Foolish Cacher show. And we've got Scott Burks and Shorty Knits on, who I'm sure are going to have a lot of great stories about the foolish things they've done when they're out caching.
Nice. Until then, check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes from this and all our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniac shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. This show's copyright 2018 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with a Cachemaniac.